question at the end of the title of this. And the question is 4,000 miles away from Earth, the moon may be? Well, let's clear that up right now.
You are in luck today if you have presbyopia or myopia.
No. Every person that has ever used a sextant, which is a nautical instrument, could be used on land as well. It's an instrument to gauge distances and times of the day, utilizing the sun and or the stars as a focal point in time itself. So I'm going to get that definition on the board right now. Now, each and every person, scientist that has ever used a sextant to judge the distance from where the ship that they may be working on or where they are to a next destination believes that sextants give you an accurate account of where you are in relationship to where you want to be and where the object that you're using as a focal point, aka the sun or the moon, is in relationship to where you are. So it's a triangle, and you're over here, and you're going to use the moon at night to judge the distance between you here and you going over here. So the sextant, by using the angles of what's called incidence, will tell you how far you are away from your next, what they call a waypoint, W-A-Y point. Now you can use that to also judge the distance from where you are over here to where the star is, or the moon, or the sun, how far that is from you. And that's how a sextant works. So you could be on a ship navigating and you use the moon for a focal point. Now let's get that up on the board, and then let's get through these advertisements. And while I'm getting that up on the board, I'm going to tell you that YouTube has changed once again the way the system works. So you are not, if you go to your YouTube control page where your videos are, things are changing. They'll see messages at the top of the board. Things are working a little differently. I don't know how to tell you all the little incidentals, but they are. So let's go. How come I can't? I got to change this around. Let's go over here and put down how. Okay, does a sextant work? Okay, and now, okay, so the answer is, I haven't read this in many years. A sextant makes use of two mirrors. With the sextant, one of the mirrors, mirror A in the diagram, is half silvered, which allows some light to pass through it. In navigating, you look at the horizon through this mirror. The other mirror is in the diagram attached to a movable arm. Okay, so that's how it works. Using a sextant, now we have to look up using a sextant. Okay, to measure M EASURE, distance. There is videos on this. Many people have done this. To moon. To the moon. Okay? Any people using a sextant to measure the distance to the moon. Let's put that up there. So, using a sextant to measure the distance to the moon, right here. Okay? Visually looking through the sextant, the navigator would bring the sun's edge or limb into contact with the limb of the moon. If the contact was exact, the time would be determined to within 5 seconds, and the longitude would be to the nearest mile or so. So the word seconds in this scenario has nothing to do with a stopwatch or a watch. It's seconds. In navigational terms, you measure your plot and or plot of your course in minutes and seconds. So, without getting into a very in-depth explanation of how to chart a course or plot a course, whether it's on the ocean or in the air, where I have studied both and passed both tests. You measure a distance in how many minutes and seconds of what is called arc, ARK. And then, so in this respect, it's telling you, basically, it's telling you that you can use a sextant to measure the distance to the moon or the sun or even other objects in the sky, whatever they may be. A balloon could be a stationary um, observation balloon that they have up there for weather, whatever it is. So you have to understand that the question in the title of the video is a real question, because each and every scientific study that's ever used a sextant to measure the distance between the Earth and the moon says that the moon is somewhere around 3,400 miles away from the Earth. You could believe that or not, it makes no difference. That's what the sextant says. I didn't say that. So now to the topic at hand of why and 10 reasons Napolo in the Visaya, the number 10 is Napolo, Napoloo, Napolo. Napolo, 10 reasons why we never went to the moon. And the like one of the trending videos now, it's all bologna and cheese. It's all kabuki theater. It's all kabuki theater going to the moon. We didn't go to the moon, in my opinion. We never went to the moon, in my opinion. We can't go to the moon, in my opinion. And we're never going to go to the moon, in my opinion, because they have lied since 1969, July 20, that we went to the moon. So if we ever did go to the moon, they would have brought back or showed us proof since then. But Apollo 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 is proof that we never went to the moon because of the reasons I'm going to give you, including what's trending now. We can't go to the moon because of the amount of dust on the moon, and that the dust clogs up the mechanism of the lunar module, the spacesuit, the sealing part of the gloves, and dust would do that, except we never went to the moon, so we sure don't have to worry about moon dust. Even proof of that is that if we went to the moon and there was moon dust, then we would have brought back moon rocks. So that could be number one, why we never went to the moon, because so far, all the moon rocks that have ever been brought back from the moon, supposedly, quote unquote, were not any kind of proof that we went to the moon. And some of the moon rocks that were really examined hard by scientific methodologies have been proven to be nothing more than petrified trees from the petrified tree forest in Arizona. Now that I can prove to you. So let's just call that number one. So now you know how a sextant works. And to measure the distance between the Earth and the Moon with a sextant is possible. How does well, we'll just do one more of these. How does a sextant measure distance? And then that would be something that have to do with seconds and minutes. It is moved or adjusted until the celestial body is reflected in half the silvered mirror in line with the telescope to coincide with the horizon through the telescope. The angular distance of the celestial body or star above the horizon is read from gradual arc of the sextant. It's a little bit more to look. Let me just tell you one thing. Okay, so when I plotted my course, whether it was for pilot's license or whether it was for navigational license, marine captain's license, okay, 30 plus people in the class took the test, and two of us passed, two of 30 people. Well, that's because I already had flight training. That's the only reason I passed, because I would have never passed it the first time. I failed it once really, really, really bad, and once by a few points when I did it for flying. But then by the time I got to my boat captain's license, it was second nature. So it's kabuki theater. The whole concept of plotting charts. Once you learn how to do it, it's really not that complicated, but to learn it is hard. So out of the 30 plus students in our class in Key Largo that we took the test for the United States Coast Guard that I showed you my captain's license for, only two of us passed. And then the teacher, Coast Guard representative, asked us to come in once or twice a week, if we could, on two different days to help the other students pass, because people failed with like, 10% of the tests. They just couldn't do it. It's not easy. So that's not, we did not use a sextant. This was just charting a course. The sextant course was something altogether different. That was an add on. It wasn't necessary. It was for a different tag. But my dad taught me how to use a sextant when I was a little kid. Not that complicated if someone shows you 100 times, but that's all besides the point. The Earth and the Moon, according to sextant, and we're going to go on YouTube right now and we're going to prove that. According to sextants, the Earth and the Moon are only 3,400 miles away from one another. So, as far as the Moon being 238,000 miles away during its minimum perigee, then we're off by 233,600 miles. Now, we could do that. We could go to YouTube and we could turn this around and we could go to a YouTube video. Okay. Matt T. Matt T. You seem to be all over YouTube the last few days. I've seen you in several places. The case is still ongoing now, and it has not been completed. That's the answer to your question. Okay, so I'm looking for something. You have to excuse me for a minute. I'm going to change the page. Okay, so we're going to turn this around and we're going to go distance, moon, distance, DISTANCE, distance to moon using, I'm not sure the results that we're going to get a sextant. Using a sextant 3,400. Let's just see if that pops up. I don't think. Wait a second. I spelled distance wrong. Okay. Distance. Okay. All right. Let's try this and let's search that. So there are other people. Uh, okay. How to compute. Where is sextant, altitude, sun? See all these videos. Let's just to show you that they use sextants. How far is the moon away? Short science. How do you use a sextant to measure celestial altitudes and heavenly bodies? So what I said is valid, that you can use a sextant to measure celestial bodies, they call it. How to compute the altitude of a moon, but using a sextant. Sextant altitude sun. Okay. All right. So, all right. So let's just say I don't see that a video on that. How far are the nearest stars? They don't. YouTube does not want to give us that answer. They don't want to give us that answer because they know that screws up everything. Let's say moon. Let's do this. Let's take the away. Let's see. Let's see if we come up with some answers there. Okay. Now this fella, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he is the world's greatest liar. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Don't ever. I will not even listen to 5 seconds of anything he ever says, ever again, ever. So I see his face, I turn it off. Okay, he has lied and been caught in so many lies, but he is the gatekeeper for science. Him and that Japanese fellow. Okay, so we can't even. There are thousands of videos that said the Earth was 3,400 miles away. There were thousands of them 20 years ago. Distance to the moon, 3,400 miles away. See, they won't even give us a video with the title with 3,400 in the title, and they give this guy 12 million views, and he can't prove anything that he says. Nothing can he prove. Okay, so we're not gonna. This is amazing. They took all the videos down. I didn't do a lot of research on this. I'll give you some more reasons why we never went to the moon. Not one video shows the distance at 3,400 miles away. Not one video. Okay, moon. Let's do it like this. The moon. There used to be 100 plus videos. The moon is 3 is the moon is 3,400 miles away. Nope. The moon is 238,900 miles away at its closest perigee. Boy, oh boy, they are removing all the truth from the internet. Now, you got to understand, you see this million miles away. At one time, they thought the moon was 500,000 miles away, and at another time, they thought it was 700,000 miles away. They've just revised it recently. There should be videos. Wow. Wow. There should be video after video with that number in it. That was the number that was used. Okay, we may have to go to the next reason why we never went to the moon, because they're not showing us the truth. Again, let's see, what is that? 1,000,000 miles away. The Earth, the moon is 3,000. Let's try 3,000 miles away. No. Oh, boy. You talk about whitewashing the internet. This is crazy. This is crazy. And this is the distance to the sun, 93 million miles. It used to be 108 million miles. Then it was 90 million miles. Then it was 80 million miles. Then it was 140 million miles. They change it every 15 or 30 years. We could look at this, but we don't have a solution here. No, we're not gonna. Oh boy, we failed. We failed miserably on finding the distance to the moon. All I can tell you is that anybody that's ever used a sextant to measure the distance between the Earth and the moon has come up with a 3,200, 3,400 mile distance. So let's talk about the second reason why we never went to the moon. It's whitewashed off the internet. It's whitewashed off the internet the same way that the tsunami that occurred outside of Japan, how they say the tectonic plates shifted, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. The earthquake off the state or off the country of Japan, in order to create the tsunami that was necessary. This is true. In order to create the tsunami that was necessary, the earthquake, the 9.1 that occurred on that day, that it said there was a 9.1 on the Richter scale, would have had to originate 6 miles below the Earth's surface. But by the seismographic readings, it only initiated 1,800 feet below the surface of the ocean's floor. So it had to be 6 miles into the Earth's crust, but it was only 1,800 feet. And there's a theory by Jim Stone, whose site has been almost wiped off the internet as well, that there was a drill hole put in there and a nuclear device caused the tsunami. That's true. Now, that the theory is true. Okay, so and proof that it could not have been a 6 mile below the surface of the Earth's earthquake, proof of that is that the seismic wavelengths of a 9.1 on the Richter scale, and that's what it was the day of the earthquake. it was 9.1. I watched it live. It was 9.1 for 2 or 3 days. Then they changed it to 6.1. They transversed the numbers. And they did that because here's why they did that. If the distance from Fukushima to the epicenter of the earthquake, the distance was approximately 6 miles. Had that distance been correct, and there was a 9.1 earthquake over here, offshore, then the buildings on the shore, 6 miles away, would have vibrated to the point of turning into rubble. If it was a 9.1 6 miles away, the earth would have shook to a degree to rubble all of Japan, or that part of Japan, hundreds of miles on either side of the epicenter. But it didn't knock the buildings down. So a 9.1 would have knocked all the buildings down, but a 6.1 would create a tsunami. So they changed it from 9.1 to 6.1. That's what it said originally. And the reason that it's never been proven that it was an actual 6.1 is because the vibration of the earth when it shook is not sufficient to even make a 6.1 a reality, because even a 6.1 would have turned all the buildings into rubble. So none of it makes any sense from the point of view they changed it from 9.1 to 6.1, but a 6.1 would have destroyed all the buildings on land, but it didn't. So the tsunami came in and knocked the buildings down, which it created a tsunami. That part is real. But a 6.1 would have also knocked all the buildings down in Fukushima Prefecture. But the buildings were standing, and they wiped all of that off the internet. You can still see the wave devastating the buildings, and there were even a few videos of the building shaking. But a 6.1 would have devastated all of Fukushima Prefecture to rubble instantly, as soon as it happened. It was all just like in when stuff collapses. So they do this. They did it just now with that 3,400-mile distance to the sun. Okay, so another reason we didn't go to the moon is dust. Okay, so I'm going to show you the picture of the dust after I go back and read the comments. Okay, so is this the one? How far? No, this is not that one. It's not. It's this video here. Now, I've watched all of these videos.
When you write, your tone influences.
And none of them make any sense. So in this video that I'm going to give you the link for, you could watch it later. This woman, totally useless and liar, totally useless and a liar, says in her dissertation, is this the one? Well, let's get this. I'll get you the link for this, something that you could watch. She says the reason we didn't go back is because of dust. Now, that is true. At the 16-second mark, the astronaut says, it's very dusty here, John. That's what he says at the 16 second mark. So let me get you to the 16-second mark. Let's do this at 00 16. We'll give them an LOL and we'll post that. And then we'll go over here and we'll click this up, and we have to go back 2 seconds and we'll listen to what they say here.
Dust everywhere, John.
Dust is everywhere, John. Dust is everywhere, John. Dust is everywhere, John. They're trying to give you a reason why we never went back to the moon. Now, this whole video is narrated by a 30-year-old woman that knows nothing about science or dust or how they could prevent dust and how little dust would actually play in going to and from the moon. It's not as if they use any of this equipment twice. They do not. They may very well use the space suit twice. Maybe. I don't know. But they sure don't use the lander twice. They sure don't use the capsule twice. They sure don't use the equipment in the capsule or the lander twice. But this entire video is premised around the fact that there's so much dust on the moon that it got into the suits, it got on the equipment inside the lander, and it got on the instruments inside the lander, and therefore it almost messed up the moon mission landings. Well, that's okay, because it proves my point. This thing prevents us from going back to the moon, proves my point even further, because this is an accepted reason why we didn't go back to the moon, and that's nonsense. The reason they're giving in this video that we didn't go back to the moon is because there's too much dust, and that the dust goes everywhere except the lander's pads that touch down on the moon's surface. Everywhere except any dust or rocks or pebbles or stones that should have been blasted away from the 10,000-pound rocket motor when the ship was landing on the moon's surface, which is a bologna and cheese story. It never happened. So the woman in this video is prefaced around dust that will interfere with everything. We have many reasons why we never went to the moon. All of them are provable. None of them can be disproven. Not one of anything that I'm going to tell you. Nothing. You can't prove that the moon is 238,000 miles away using a sextant. Can't be done. And you can't prove that the dust prevented us from going back to the moon, because it has nothing to do with reality. There's nothing. So if the lunar lander, and I'm going to go through the scenario of why they say dust prevents you from going back to the moon and how it's a hoax, it's just kabuki theater. I see some comments, so wouldn't be fair to not read the comments. Let me take a look at that. So this whole video is prefaced on that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to copy that, and I'll put this I'll put this link in my description box, and I'm going to put it also in the chat window. You guys can go listen to the 16 seconds of video, the first 16 seconds where the timestamp is. And all right, I'm going to read the comments. I see we're getting trolled already. Okay, so let's read the comments. The Bantayan Brawler is in the house. Is in the moon all grown up. Hey, buddy, how you doing? You know the truth. Okay, so Rich's Adventures. In your opinion, what is the biggest hoax played on humans by the rulers of the earth? That's a great question. 9/11, 9/11, because the moon landing, Rick's Adventures, this question here, I would say that 9/11 is the biggest hoax because the moon landing is the most world-renowned hoax by far and the most public hoax, and the reasons, hundreds of reasons being that it was a hoax, including the fact that Russia never tried to put an astronaut on the moon. But besides all of that, the moon landing was a hoax in order to jumpstart technology, the technology that we got from probably alien spaceships, reverse engineering, and an unlimited amount of money. An unlimited amount of money was allotted for research and development while the moon hoax was occurring. And 90% of all inventions and inventive technologies, including computers, including transistors, including circuitry, all of that was because of NASA. So they hoaxed us in order to say, okay, NASA can spend as much money as they want on anything they want because they're giving us back, and they gave us back. They gave us back. Texas Instruments gave us back the original calculator, and the original Kodak gave us the original camera that was small enough to fit inside a package of cigarettes using transistors and computer chip technology. And the technology that we got from NASA was just unbelievable. So they used the NASA hoax to get unlimited funding for technology advancement. And that worked. And that gave us technology. That's my opinion. But I also met astronaut Gene Cernan at my high school in 1973, recruiting people for NASA. So he showed us technology. He had a wand like this. It was a rubber wand. It was about the size of a pencil. And he took that wand and said, I remember this experiment. He showed us several experiments. He took the wand and said, I think this was his way of saying we never went to the moon, because he was absolutely, later on after the Apollo program, he never wanted to push the issue that we went to the moon. He took a piece of rubber and bent the rubber like this. And he said that now we're going to dip it into liquid hydrogen. And he dipped it into liquid hydrogen, which is 200 degrees below zero. And then he took that rod and he smacked it on a piece of granite, and it shattered all over the place. You could see it shatter all over the stage. It's part of the experiment. He was telling us that the film in the Hasselblad cameras would have frozen and shattered if they tried to rewind it to go to the next frame. That's my belief. That's my belief. It's not what he said. But this is another reason that we never went to the moon. The cameras were 200 degrees below zero. The film would freeze up solid long before that, like ice. Water is water, and then it turns to ice, and then it shatters if you try to bend it too much. The film in the cameras would have froze, and when they moved it to the next frame, the film would have shattered into a million pieces. That's why I think he did that experiment. But he also said Gene Cernan was on the stage in 1973, and he said that if there was a computer that could do a certain thing, it would have been the size of the auditorium in Aviation High School. And that was 700 students, that auditorium held. And it would be from the floor to the ceiling and wall to wall. He said, when you are my age, in his 60s, the computer chip that would do that would be the size of a dime. That's what he said. I remember that. And now we have computer chips that are way smaller than that do more than what he said. His guess was just that a computer chip the size of our auditorium would be the size of a dime. It's very realistic, but even on a scale down 100 to 1, we have computer chips that do 10,000 times that on the size of a dime. We have the Cray Systems 3, which is ancient technology. We have new supercomputers that are cooled with liquid hydrogen that do 30 billion computations a second. He could not even imagine that. So that's the greatest hoax had to be 9/11, because 9/11 allowed the people behind the hoax to kill several million innocent people, and that every newspaper, every industry, every single politician, all the presidents, the staff, the chief of staff, the generals, the secretary generals, the colonels, all of those people, they all went along with it. Knowing that it killed millions and millions of people, they did it anyway. So if you consider NASA was a hoax to get technology, 9/11 was a hoax to enhance our military capability. That's not an opinion. That's true. So is the moon all grown up? So, hey, Pentalion Brawl, the Matrix real. Yes, heard that too. The Mantis real said he heard that it was a 9.1 on the Richter scale. Also, he heard that. It's not, I didn't make this stuff up. And Jim Stone, Jim Stone, Stone, had a website that was massive. It was 17 pages, 18 pages of information of every detail from the time of the tsunami onward. And now his website is almost completely blank. So they took it off as false information. That's what 9/11 did. That 9/11 allowed them to take what is called misinformation off the internet with no rhyme or reason. Louis Pagan Ponce, Mike, que pasa? Hey, I heard that Fukushima event resulted in the best and largest sushi fillet. It did. There is sushi fillet right now. Right now, Fukushima is, man, I did 100 videos about Fukushima pollution and how it it never stopped from day one. And now, what is it, 12 years later, March 11th, till now, 12 years and 5 months later, they're saying that they're going to release 300 tons of water a day into the Pacific. They've been releasing 300 tons a day since Fukushima occurred. But now they're just admitting it. Fukushima, sushi, baby. Hey, Lois, thanks for stopping by. The only dust up there was nose dust. See, now, this fella, the Matrix is real. Look, you people have no knowledge of this. They've kept you in a box like mushrooms underground. I watched the space shuttle take off. I was there when the space shuttle went past my house in Key Largo. I watched from Cape Canaveral the space shuttle being launched. I watched the rotation of the space shuttle, which makes no sense. A rocket takes off. Rockets are full speed ahead. They don't throttle the rocket up. Rocket starts, it goes, it's off. It's like a bottle rocket. They don't throttle it. It's a rocket. Okay, so why does the rocket go up by Cape Canaveral and then rotate? They call it rotation, and then go parallel to the Earth from South Central Florida, and then go past my house in Key Largo, 500 miles away, horizontally past my house over the ocean, 10 miles out, 10 miles up. Why do they need all that distance? They say because they need to build up speed. No. The rocket is going full speed when it makes that rotation. Why don't they just take straight off into the thing we call space? Because it never went to space. It landed someplace out in the Atlantic Ocean. And even if it did, they say they wanted to get it through the atmosphere and it has to be the right angle. Well, how is it every time the rocket went off, it went off this way, horizontal, and no one ever saw it leave the atmosphere? It just stayed parallel above the ocean. No one ever saw it leave the atmosphere. It's a hoax. Face Runner says Hasselblad camera, Swiss-made Hasselblad camera, Swiss-made, was used on the landing. That's true. The 2 1/4 Hasselblad. I had a 2 1/4 camera, so I know what it is. Okay, except the crosshairs on the lens were imposed on the top of the photograph, and I know where he's going with this. And in real life, I didn't finish reading the comment. In real life, what Face Runner is saying, the crosshairs were imposed on the top of the photograph. In real life, the Hasselblad camera had the lens hairs, I think, on the bottom. Okay, so the crosshairs on the lens were imposed on the top of the photo. I knew the photo ad director of NASA. He showed many examples of faulty information. So yes, Face Runner brings up a point that I don't recall 100%, but the Hasselblad cameras that went to the moon had what they call crosshairs on them, like to focal hairs. But the ones that should have been in a different position on the photographs, up or down, something that has to do with the crosshairs shows you that the cameras they said they brought to the moon were not the cameras that were used for the photography, plus the fact that a Hasselblad camera uses, if I remember, a lens that's equivalent to a Zeiss, Z-I-S-S lens. Zeiss lenses are the best lenses in the world. Why did we get some good pictures, but some bad pictures out of a $250,000 camera? That doesn't make any sense either. So Face Runner is right. Something that has to do with the crosshairs has nothing to do with the truth of where the crosshairs should have been. Thank you, Face Runner. I forgot all about that. Okay, so Face Runner says the man that he knew at NASA, the ad director at NASA, he said the Challenger was going to expose the falsity. So that's that. And that I heard as well, that the astronaut on the Challenger was going to expose it. Now, this is a major, major condemnation for NASA, but that's what was said at the time. That is still being said at the time. They were going to put one of the astronauts hung a lemon on the module and said, and as a pictography of that the module was a lemon. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. Thank you, Face Runner. That's pretty cool. Bantayan Bro, I'm very tired. I spent all night lowering the nose to follow the Earth. No moon last night. Bantayan Brawler, he's making it funny. So Bantayan Brawler, he's bringing up the point that, look, the Earth is flat. Okay, so if Bantayan Brawler says the Earth is flat, the Earth is flat. Okay, we go into gyros. A gyro. The definition of a gyro, when you spin up the gyros, if the gyro is facing this way, it's going to stay in that position. But when we fly, we at the airport on the runway, we take flight level. The gyroscopes are level to the horizon, and we spin them up. Then it's level. And then we take off. And then from takeoff, the instruments tells you how high you're flying. If you dip down, the gyroscope is going to want to bring you back automatically. Or you have to bring the ship back up into flight level. FLIGHTLEV. Flight level attitude. Okay? So when we fly across the ocean, you and me get to the Philippines. The first time you feel the plane after it takes off, you know how it goes up and up and up, and then it levels off, and then it stays level. And the first time that the plane dips down is when you're approaching Cebu. That's the first time, or Manila. It doesn't dip down every 30 seconds. It would have to dip down in order to follow the curvature of the Earth, or in 30 minutes at flight level, and if the Earth was round, in 30 minutes, you would be 180 miles out into the space in 30 minutes, traveling at 500 miles an hour. So if you wanted to maintain a 30,000 foot ceiling on your flight, you would have to dip the plane down every 30 seconds a certain amount of feet. And that's what Bantayan Brawler is making a joke of, that he spent all night dipping the plane down to follow the curvature of the Earth. And every pilot knows this. Every pilot knows it. Even John Blaze, who doesn't want to admit it, has to know this is true with the smallest bit of research. the great John Blaze. He won't admit it because he's still working in the industry. And he may not even know it. But if he ever thought about it for more than 30 seconds, he would have to come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat. Let's just call a spade a spade. Thank you, Bentalian Brawler. The moon landing was filmed on a set of 2001 Space Odyssey. Matrix is real sets. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree, and I wholeheartedly believe that Stanley Kubrick received a $200,000 Hasselblad camera as an incentive to do 2001: A Space Odyssey and to do the moon landing hoax. That was his bribe. He couldn't buy one because the technology was not for sale, so he was bribed with one from NASA. That's true. All that stuff is true. And moving on, Bentalian Brawler says, the Matrix is real is correct. Squillum says, thanks for spreading the good word, Mike. Hey, thank you for not coming in with a small understanding and making a crazy statement that I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I may be eccentric. I may be the most eccentric person in the Philippines community, but I'm not crazy. Eccentric, I will go to. Even a little bit crazy, maybe, but I am correct about most of what I talk about, and what the few mistakes I make, you could fit in a small thimble, because I don't remember every detail, but I remember everything there is to know about the moon hoax, about everything I ever learned about flight level attitude, everything I ever learned about how to maintain a flight level, how gyroscopes work in a submarine or a ship or an aircraft. They don't work any different under the water, on the surface of the water, in the air. So if you put the plane on autopilot to maintain 30,000 feet, that plane is going to stay at 30,000 feet. It's going to stay flight level. The Earth is going like this, and you're going off what is called, this would be a tangent, Tangent. You're going off a tangent of the Earth. You're only over the center of the Earth for a fraction of a second if the Earth was round, and this would be your tangent, your exit tangent. But there's no tangent. The Earth is flat. Moving on. Thank you, Squillum. Bentalian Brawler, I'm very tired. I spent all night lowering the nose to follow the Earth. No moon last night. Matrix is real. Yes, it was filmed by the 2001 Space Odyssey. Hey, Bentalian Brawler, Barry Jordan looked like he growed up on the moon. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh God. Barry Jordan looks like he growed up on the moon. Wow. Wow. That's the most intelligent person among the top 10 intelligent people that I know in this world. Bentalian Brawler is among the top 10. Knocking a man that just got engaged to his future wife, saying he looks like a moon bud or something. Looks like he growed. And he even used the right word. He growed up on the moon. Hey, do you guys know that Barry Jordan got engaged this morning? He did. Barry Jordan got engaged to Shah. We have to wish them well. I don't know if they'll have the time to get married, but we have to give Barry kudos for that part that he kept. He kept his word to his lovely girlfriend Shah. Congratulations, Barry Jordan. I am sure I am sure that he is happy because he was crying. She was crying. Everybody was crying at the engagement. Thinking, thinking about, wow, there is life after detention. So Barry, congratulations and thanks. I would have forgot all about Barry's engagement. I did catch the last few seconds of that. All right, so Ben Brawler with the big attic lung, the big space joke. Barry J looks like he growed. GROWED. That's an Alabama thing. He growed up on the moon. Ah, God. So, Face Runner says India space program is the most advanced thus far. I called with an Indian from Delhi that copied graphite know-how. Graphite know-how. I would have to look that up. Graphite know-how. I will have to look that up. Let's take a look at what graphite know-how is. Graphite know-how. I'm sorry that I don't know that term, so let's find out what that term means. Graphite know-how. Come from graphite know-how. Let's just Google that. Did I mean copied graphite know-how? Okay, yes, I meant that. Let's make a graphite transfer. Transferring with graphite paper. How to use graphite? Oh, that's what I thought it was. Graphite paper is the little blue or the gray paper that it's that they put in between paper to make a second copy. Okay, I thought that was graphite transfer. Yeah, they still use that here in the Philippines. They still use that. So India is using graphite transfer. Okay, graphite know-how. So basically, Face Runner is, in my opinion, I think Face Runner is saying that India is copying NASA. Okay, I could believe that because we can't go to the moon. Okay, we want to go to the moon, and there are NASA people that said we would go back to the moon, but we lost that technology, which is another reason. So let's go back to this DNC. Damn, never wear rubber in space. That's right. That comment, never wear rubber in space, goes back to the comment that astronaut Gene Cernan took a rubber wand that flexed like this and dipped it in liquid nitrogen or hydrogen. Probably it was nitrogen, and then smacked it on the table and it blew apart. So therefore, DNC doesn't want his Komasikiyama inside a frozen rubber. Those are very words of wisdom by the DNC. So let's go back to Face Runner. Okay. India has the most advanced space program thus far. I spoke, he means I spoke. I spoke with where was that comment? I sold. Okay, it's up here. I sold with an Indian Delhi that copied graphite know-how. Okay, so Face Runner apparently is a man that has reached out for the truth, and he's stating that he spoke with a man from India and copied the graphite know-how. Well, thanks for that. I mean, I think I know what he's saying. I think he's saying that they copied our space program. I think that's what Face Runner is saying. If I'm wrong, correct me. Tetrad became from Yahshua birth becoming the point Zionists must compel and hold the story as Talmudic is viewed. Okay, Tetrad became from Yahshua. Okay, so Tetrad is probably a name in the Bible that I forget. And he became from Yeshua, from Jesus' birth, becoming the point Zionist. Zionist has to do with the Talmud. The Talmud, okay, we'll change the subject for a moment. So the Talmud philosophy, by the way, we, the United States of America, has been under Talmudic law, face runner knows this is true, since March 7th of 1990, when George Herbert Walker Bush sold the United States to Rabbi Shearson, gave it to him for his birthday. That's true. You could look that up. We could look that up. So the United States is controlled by Talmudic law right now, today, since 1991. So 101, 111, 121, 32 years. 32 years the United States has been controlled by Talmudic law. Now, Talmudic law says unequivocally that you will follow the ways of the Noahide philosophy. You will follow the rules of Noahide. The Noahide rules state that there is no God called Christ. And if you pray to Christ, they can chop off your head in a guillotine or imprison you forever. Those are the Noahide laws. So by going to a Protestant church or to a Catholic church or to a Muslim event and believing in Muhammad or Jesus, you can have your head chopped off according to Talmudic law, the Noahide rules, the 7 Noahide laws. I think that's what Face Runner is bringing into the picture. That's true. It's true. I could look it up. I have videos of it, but I had to take those down. So this, George. All right. So let's go here. I could look up on my page. I could do that. Let's look up to see where my video is. Okay. Okay. Let's go here. I can't show you my video list because I have videos that I copied yesterday and parts of yesterday's videos. So I don't want to show you my video. I copied up. Yeah, that would be not a good thing. So let's go here, George. Let's just put George, George. I may have to go. I have 6 videos. I know I have that video. Oh, I think I took that video gone. Let's see if I George, show all 6. So I'm gonna have to go to my other page, my other channel. Okay, yeah, you know what? I never put that. This is the reason why I got censored. This is true too. This is no joke. I got censored because I made this video and others just like it. So I'm going to switch my account. And we're going to add an account. And that means I have to go here. Whoa, look at the time. 11:19, 9:11 in reverse. Oh, God. Let's go to Hoodwinked. Oh, boy. We know the 9/11, George Herbert Walker Bush. Look, it showed up. It appeared. It appeared right there. Look, it appeared 9/11. 9/11. As soon as I talked about Herbert Walker Bush. Okay, so my password is La la la. La 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 la. Do you know there are computer programs that would allow you to hear what I said, mumbling like that by the resonance in your throat? You'd be able to figure out my password. Okay, we are in a new Chrome profile called Hoodwinked by an Angel. Yes, it's me. Oh, okay. And now, oh God. Okay, why can't I go here? Well, I could go here. Why can't I go here? I can go here. Okay, my content. It only gave me 10 seconds to confirm. Okay, so my content on Hoodwinked is, okay, we're in. Okay. Oh, they changed everything around. We have a new color. No thanks. No thanks. Skip that. Wow, they want to change everything around. As I said on the channel, George, G-E-O-R-G-E. George Herbert Walker Bush is what we're looking for. George Bush. New World Order. President George. Here it is. Oh, God. Oh, God, it's age restricted. It's age restricted. I knew there was something about this. So I could show it to you. Hello, John. I'm on live stream now.
Oh, well, I'll let you go then.
Okay, I just talked about you. You should know by now, after I mentioned the Earth is flat, we should be hearing from you on that topic anytime soon.
Oh, God.
He don't want to talk about this. All right. So I will talk to you another time, John. I'll call you either after the show or tomorrow.
I'll just let you know I'll be there soon. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, buddy. That sounds good. That sounds really good. I'll talk with you later. Thank you. Thank you very much for the information. Okay, bye-bye for now. Wow, good news. Okay, so where are we? Okay, what happened here? Oh, well, being that I changed, I have to. Wow. Okay, so oh man. Okay, I have to change back. Switch the account back. Oh man. Okay, so what happened here? It froze up. Oh man. Uy, malabo. Okay, so what do we have to do here? Okay, so what do I have to do here? Oh, boy. I don't know how to get this back. Huh. Let's close this out. Hold on. I can't get this back on.